I'm Emerald from the Intelligent Energy Management team for Advantech. I'm the product manager. I'm going to speak on the topic of how Advantech uses dashboard to track and demonstrate environmental performance in ESG rating. Give you a little bit context of the current approach to sustainable management in an enterprise. There are 3 levels of group from top to bottom in the corporate, handling different issues. The first is governance level. The board of directors is responsible for the overall direction of the ESG strategy, oversee ESG related issues, and is ultimately responsible for these performances. And the ESG committee needs to evaluate and determine risk and opportunity, ensure that appropriate and effective internal control systems are in place, then set the ESG management approach, strategy, priorities, and objectives by reviewing the performance regularly against the goal and target, and approve the disclosure in the ESG report. The second is the management level. The ESG steering group is assisting the ESG committee in the implementation of the ESG work and reporting relating issue and matter to the committee, guiding and supervising the specific work, and listening to the report from the working group. The last is the executive body level. The working group carry out and promoting specific tasks under the guidance of steering groups. By understanding most of the key decision makers in sustainable management are CEO and managers. They have to set priority items, allocate resources, and make procurement decisions. We organize 5 key dashboards to help this management level of the decision maker to communicate with internal and external stakeholders, making sure people keep their thought in their work items. I want to start with the value of the 5 key dashboards that enable decision makers to control the progress of the sustainability indicator and the achievement of the goal in the environmental segment. The first is the global insight to disclosure the corporate global performance, including the main parent company and the worldwide subsidiaries. Manager can see whether internal action stay in line with the carbon neutrality target. Second is the RE100 roadmap, the demonstrate regional renewable power implementation and track the differences between regional fossil fuel and renewable energy through short and long-term views, which can offer insight to the investment team on when and how to keep the percentage of the renewable use in each location. Third is the site emission overview. From the view of different organization level, manager identify major carbon emission hotspots of different regions, such as building, division, and or factory in different period of time, like months or years. Fourth, the decarbonization dashboard can control the balance of cost and risk of the carbon reduction measures adopted in all regions from the corporate perspective. The last is the Site EcoWatch. By connecting the local energy management system, the sustainability or energy manager can monitor various energy usage by region down to equipment to identify major energy consumption. Now we look at the interface of global insight, the view from the country or overall corporate in reporting year can be selected by the filter. The ESG committee can see the key environmental indicator valued by both external investor or rating and internal management level at the top of the column. The right chart is the view from the chain in fossil consumption and total and electricity consumption and total carbon emission year by year. It reviews the gap between carbon emission target and reduction target. And the left is the evaluation curve of carbon reduction measure. It shows whether there are the maximum benefit from the implementation of energy saving and decarbonization actions. The bottom of the table presents the carbon emission and also fossil fuel and electricity consumption of all sites. A clear pathway today is embrace renewable, whether by consuming great electricity, but also by producing our self-energy. The interface of RE100 roadmap is designed for the ESG committee to communicate the renewable energy status of each organization in different countries and development localized investment strategy to prove the active action toward the goal. So, through the filter on the top of the chart, users can review their annual performance by countries. The proportion of the accumulative usage of the renewable energy is the most critical indicator for accounting. As below, to facilitate the responses to the international RE100 initiative, we visualize the investment plan for the key years before meeting the RE100 target years. The concept of how we consider the investment plan is based on the regional development of the green energy and the growth of local energy consumption. Then one of the practical actions from adopting common approach is by implementing green energy establishment to reduce the dependency on purchased electricity. By accounting the Scope 1 and 2 as per the GHG protocol and ISO standard, we know the key to having a tool to automate your carbon emission. From energy consumption, you can get your emission tracking on calculation at the site level and the top consumption portfolio. At the same time, we can use the interface to sustainability to compare between year-on-year or best year set by the sustainable manager, confirming the baseline of emission aligned with carbon reduction target. The top of the column presents the total carbon emission from both direct and indirect emission of the organization boundaries. Here we visualize two granularity by years and months, so the display can help to track down the source of emission hotspot by both energy types or the period of time, such as month or year. Manager wants to know the impact of the emission reduction measure on the ROI return over the investment, reduction in cost, or an reduction in emission. They have to review the corporate or region key information for the reporting year. The first thing is whether the investment in response to different site scenarios lead to an increase or decrease in long-term benefits. Secondly, the manager can check the positive or negative result after adopting measure based on the unit reduction code. The interface displays major carbon reduction programs to understand the corporate or site achievement in the year. A straightforward view of understanding the proportion of the enterprise or site carbon reduction program is together with the trend in the investment amount on the left chart, which can measure if the net zero target will be reached. Also considering the differences in regional policy and development, we viewed all the regions' short, medium, and long-term investment to match the corporate net zero, green energy, and carbon reduction target. Users use the filter to select the energy type like electricity, water, steam, or gas to review its usage. Through the Site EcoWatch dashboard, we can get real-time database insight into your local portfolio. by comparing year on year or best year. The left chart shows the local annual energy consumption. It's further itemized by facility and regions of the factory. By collecting the item, we can quickly know the actual energy consumption of each equipment group from which regionals of the factories. In the meantime, the right chart presented the electricity consumption of the current and the last year and the year on year, which is quite a straightforward view to identify abnormal region or equipment energy consumption. And the ECOEnterprise is the right solution in this case to achieve sustainability and support ESG goals by fulfilling ISO certification, GRI report, and even CDP disclosure. And the environmental indicator focus on energy and carbon emission management. We target the user of the company, senior manager, officer, and internal sustainable and energy resource management team, and stakeholder needed to disclosure or report. We can internally control the energy consumption status of the region. It's easier to summarize ESG relevant report and information. Thirdly, we can benchmark with the requirement of ISO, external assessment, and related initiative. The last, we comply with mandatory regulation and authority expectation for a sustainable development roadmap. Thank you for standing with me.